Alright, for this video, I'm going to be covering how to install memory on a tower computer. There'll be another one coming up for laptops, different memory. I can show you. Laptop memory, tower memory. Best standard practice. Laptop, tower. Not necessarily all true nowadays. You may have some small factors that are using this. Goes back to doing your homework. Homework. Nowadays, a lot of these manufacturers are kind of breaking rules, doing whatever they kind of want to kind of get the results they want. I've had one video done, got multiple coming, all about memory. Memory is really a hard subject to cover. In all the years that I've been dealing with computers, there is no easy way for me to tell someone yes to an answer when it comes to memory other than follow your best standard practices. Don't mix and match. Make sure you buy more than you possibly think you're going to need. Because the problem is memory is always changing. Speeds are changing. DDR1, DDR2, DDR3, DDR4. It may end up being hard to impossible to find your memory later. If you have old computer that takes the old DIMMs, good luck. You might be able to find some out there on eBay somewhere, a thrift store, some old computer somewhere that someone's trying to get rid of. Not to mention, there's nothing really wrong with that. The memory's just slower. Your computer's going to be running slower. But if you're a home user, it's not a big deal. If you're going on there doing online banking, doing whatever you need to do, as long as you have the new operating system with the newest updates, you should be fine. Keep your firewall running, keep your virus scans protecting you, you should be fine. Shouldn't matter. Yes, you can buy a brand new i9, with all the bells and whistles, it will be faster. The drives are faster, the memory is faster, the CPU is faster, the bus speeds are faster. There's a lot of factors that come into old computers, new computer. I will cover a lot of that coming up. I got a lot of videos coming up. Got some already posted that may cover some of the subjects you may be looking at. Go ahead, hit the subscribe now, hit the bell so you can get all the updates whenever I post. And we'll get moving along with this one. But I wanted to really show that the memory here that I'm showing you, again, do your homework. Do your homework. Because I may be showing you something here that ain't in yours. And my main reason for doing these videos is to help you at home, to help the business professionals out there that you may go into a certain location or a certain job that has older hardware that they're running on, that are perfectly happy with the older hardware. There's no need to force someone to upgrade if they're up to date. I know I've run across this for many years that a lot of people just push updates. Everybody's at home now with all this pandemic stuff. It's 2020. The world's changed. I want people to be aware of what your true capabilities are with this memory. I I don't want you to get taken advantage of, because, 2020, people don't have the revenue coming in they used to. They're going to try to sell you. I'm not going to try to sell you. So, basic computer. Most likely will have only 2 slots of memory. Some have 4. Key factor with memory is you have channels. Most of these will run single or dual channel. Some of these computers, even though there's 2 memory slots, may not run dual channel. It's just a feature that some motherboards, they didn't adopt for some reason. And that's due to a lot of factors. When you get into business and you're running high-end AutoCAD and a lot of other things, there's still the argument over single or dual channel. Problem with dual channel is I mentioned on my last video, is for best practices, I always tell people, think of it as 2 separate memories. Don't add them together. You want to split it in half. So if you're running an AutoCAD or Dreamweaver or some other big program that may use a lot of data, and you think you're going to need 8 gigs or 16 gigs, I don't recommend, if you want 8 gigs, to put 4 and 4. I recommend, if you think you're going to need 8 gigs, put 8, put 16 in there. Because there's a lot of factors that come into play when you're running that software. Because you've got to also remember, if you're running that software, that AutoCAD program, it's not the only thing running on this system. You have your operating system, you have your firewall, you have, your virus scan. And if you've used a computer long enough, when does your virus scan always run? At the wrong time. You know it. When you're doing something and your computer slows down and you're like, what's going on? Usually it's your virus scan or it's something running in the background. It always seems to be the wrong time. So that's why, for my best standard practices, I always recommend, oh, you really think you're going to need 8? Why don't you put 16 and 16 in and go 32? Why not go over? Because part of the problem is like I mentioned before, is you try to find this memory later, you're going to have a whole nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare. It'll have to mostly be used. You might get lucky and find someone on eBay that's saying it's new. Yeah, you take your chances, but if you can get it for a good price, yeah, it might work out. But it might cost you a lot in the long run. Because the other factor is if you can't find this memory you got in here, you have to take it out and replace it with a new stick. So now you end up with something like this, just sitting around on your desk, because you didn't buy the proper. You didn't buy the match. You didn't buy the upsize. You didn't buy. So that's my best standard practice for you when it comes to memory. And even for businesses, same recommendation. Because when you get into servers and you have multiple sticks of memory that you're going to need to use, I always recommend go larger. For server-wise and stuff, you can buy servers that have 1 stick of memory that run single channel, but those CPUs are designed to run more channels. So why not put the extra memory in? I know it's a huge cost factor. It's a huge, huge cost factor. But if you really don't think you're going to need that in the future, then don't do it. Of course, like I'm telling you, if you think you need 8 gigs of memory in that server, why not put an extra stick in, go dual channel, or put an extra stick in and go 3 channels for performance factor. Performance factor. Because what happens on that server when you go to upgrade? The version you have now, this year, let's say 2020 version, you're okay. Well, how long do you plan to keep that server? 10 years? 8 years? 20 years? How often do they revise your software you're running? Every year? Every 2 years? Every 4 years? So, if they revise that software every 4 years and you plan to keep that server at least 8 years, you have 2 revisions that you got coming on that. Wouldn't it be safe to have higher performance, higher than what your minimums are or what you feel comfortable running? So you always want to look at shelf life of your product, what you have. Same thing at home, your shelf life. How long do you expect to have this computer? Well, at home, you're probably thinking, I'm going to have this 20 years. I'm going to have this forever. And it might be true if you buy a fast enough computer. If you go out and buy a nice fast computer, you don't buy the cheaper, dual processor, you go out and buy something that has 8 core with hyper-threading, new AMDs that are out there with, what are they, 16, 32 cores. That's going to last you a while now. That's going to last you a while. Unless an operating system or something major comes in and says, you can't use this anymore. You're going to be using that for a while now. It's not like in the old days where you got the 133 processor with the single core, and then they came out with the hyper-threading, and then the dual core, and then the dual core with hyper-threading. And, there was a lot of advances. Now we're to a point where we're pretty far up there where if you bought something, you're going to end up sticking with it. Like this one here, I believe was a dual core. It will still run today. I can still use this. One I have in here is a dual core. It's an old CPU, but it's a dual core. I can go online, I can look on the internet, I can look up specs, I can look up whatever I want. It's running Windows 10. It's got the latest updates. It's got the firewall. It's got everything on it. It's good. It's got enough memory in it. I'm good. That's one of the factors you want to look at when you're dealing with your memory. I know I've gone on a lot before I actually get to this, but I know a lot of videos I've seen is basically, here, you just unsnap it and you snap it back. No. You need to know this other details of memory. You can go online and see a million of these videos of just unclipping memory and clipping it back in and making sure it snaps it. To me, that's useless. That's absolutely useless. Because it's not giving you the information you really need to know. If you're at home trying to do schooling or something, or do your business online now because you can't open your store, this is the information you're going to need. Because if you can't run your business, you can't be out paying someone to get you where you need to be so you can run your business. Especially if it's as simple as go on eBay and find what you're going to need, like this. Basically, you push the little white tabs down, they'll press apart, your memory stick will pop up. You should actually wear an anti-static strap that straps on, grounds. Your memory stick comes out. On here is all your information you will need. You have your make, your model, your size, your speed, everything on here. So it's actually a Kingston memory. It'll tell you your speeds. It'll tell you it's an 8 gig or a 4 gig, 2 gig. Let me set that down. Like these ones here are, I believe, in megabytes, are 128 megabyte. This is older style memory. I believe this one came out of a server. The notches down below are different. It's a different style memory. That's one of the key factors you always want to look at when you buy your memory, is you have your pins. There's a little notch here. This notch is very, very important to pay attention to, because when you go to put it in, it has to go in the right way. If not, that notch will not line up. It's not whichever way you want to do it. Have to make sure that that notch lines up to what's on the motherboard. As you can see, you have the white pins that snap out. Some have white, some have black. I believe there's even red and orange, a couple different color combinations that they are using. But the key part is when you put that in, you want to make sure you line that notch up to where that little pin part is that goes across. You line it up in the slot. A lot of people don't show you that. You line it up, just put it in there. It'll stay. If you don't get it in there, it'll fall over. If you get it crooked, it'll fall over. You know, you can touch it, you can feel it's in the slot. Press down on it. You'll hear the 2 clips snap. That means it's locked in. Now, that doesn't mean it's good. When you boot up the computer, you want to make sure the BIOS recognizes it. Because sometimes you have to unclip it and take it back out and reseat it. I'm sure you've heard this term, reseed. Reseating is basically just reinstalling, putting it back in. When you get into technology and computers and parts and stuff, you'll hear a lot of reseed. Basically, it's reattach. Why they don't just say reattach, but they use reseed. Part of the factor is why you may need to reseed your memory is the computer gets hot, gets cold, gets hot, gets cold, and those parts contract and expand. Sometimes, if it's not clipped in exactly proper on both sides where it's locked in, if the one side's unlocked, that memory stick might pop loose a little on one side. It'll slide up. So you unclip them, pull them out, snap them in. That's another best practice tip and troubleshooting tip when you're having ghosts in the machines or you're having some other weird issues. Reseed your memory. I know I mentioned it in the last video. Most of your problems will probably be in your memory. And it might not be the physical memory. It might just simply be reseed it. Take it out, pop it back in. Sometimes, even though you may want to, let's say you're having issues, a lot of issues, take out, if you have 2 of them, take them both out, swap them around. It won't matter. It don't matter. Memory does not keep data unless you have other problems, viruses and Trojan horses that'll store data on there, but when you turn off the computer, it goes back and you have a lot of issues. take out that memory, swap them around. A lot of times that can resolve some issues. Could be just simply pins not lining up right, just some kind of communication between those two memory sticks will resolve a lot of issues. When you get into running multiple sticks, like if I put another one in here to do dual channel, you snap the other one in next to that. When you boot up your computer, go into your BIOS, check it, make sure that it's reading both sticks. In your BIOS, here's the other kicker, here's the big kicker. Not all computers will default to dual channel. When dual channel first came out, a lot of the boards that were out gave you the option. You want to run single or dual channel on two memory sticks. Some have those configurations still out there. That's why, like this one, both ports are the same color. They're both black. You want to boot this computer up and check the BIOS. Is it running single channel, dual channel? You may just have to click on it, click, click, change it to dual channel. Click, click, single channel. There's a lot of computers out there that one's white, one's blue, one's white, one's black. Those usually represent single, dual channel configurations. Some of them actually are black and white. You'll have 8 or 4 sticks of memory in there. When you have 4 sticks of memory in there, it should be running dual channel, but here's the kicker. You'll be running 2 memory sticks per channel. So when you get into a business environment, like I was saying about splitting your memory, you have a whole different aspect here, because now you can have 4 memory sticks running dual channel with 2 memory